Hello, welcome high school U.S. history class. How are you guys all doing?
Fantastic.
Okay, great. What we're going to talk about today is World War II, and more specifically the build-up to war. Now, we all know what event caused the United States to get involved in World War II. What event is that? Anybody?
Singing of the
Okay.
bombing of Pearl Harbor.
The bombing of Pearl Harbor by Japan. Yes, that's what got us involved in the war. But what's interesting to note is there was actually a lot of buildup of tension before that event happened. And even if the bombing of Pearl Harbor didn't happen, we could have gotten involved in the wars for other reasons. So we're going to analyze that buildup. First of all, before the war, in the mid-1930s, FDR, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, and the United States Congress had a very isolationist position towards getting involved in any conflicts in Europe after World War I. Does anyone know what isolationism means?
It means that basically you're just looking at yourself, you're not looking at a larger world picture.
Yeah, exactly. Basically, what we wanted to do is we didn't want to get involved in another conflict. We wanted to focus on our own problems. World War I had cost us lives and it had cost us a lot of money. So we didn't want to get entangled in another conflict. So what the United States did is they enacted the Neutrality Acts in 1935, 1936, and 1937. In 1935, we passed an act that said that we would not provide any military equipment to any belligerent powers, so any powers involved in war. In 1936, we said we wouldn't offer any loans to any countries involved with war. And then in 1937, we said we could we would allow for the transportation of goods, non-military goods, to those countries under the cash and carry policy. The cash was that they had to pay up front for these goods, and then the carry was they would have to bring over their own ships to actually transport the goods. And FDR actually promised the United States that the U.S. would remain unentangled in the European conflict. And we all know how that turned out as we got involved in World War II. So, to illustrate some of the points and some of the tensions that led to World War II, what we're going to do is we're going to play a game. So first, and it's called the Road to World War II game, very inventive title. So what we're going to do is we're going to break up into 3 teams. So if you could join those guys over there, and then we got Team 3, Team 2, and Team 1, okay? And I want you guys to kind of huddle together because we're going to be making decisions together. So kind of huddle together. Now, here's how the game works. Each team starts with 100 points, as you see here. And the game starts on December 12, 1937. Your goal for your team is not to get below 10 points when the game reaches December 7, 1941, or the bombing of Pearl Harbor. Okay, so you want 10 or more points by the end of the game. What happens is you're presented with a series of 8 decisions based on the real-life events. And if you choose, and you have an A or B option for each decision, if you choose the historically accurate decision, you lose less points. Okay? Now that's a little confusing, but as we go on, you'll start getting the picture. Okay? Okay, so decision 1. It's December 12, 1937, and the Japanese aircraft had just sunk the American gunboat Panay as it's escorting Standard Oil Company tankers on the Yangtze River. That's in China. 2 Americans die, and Tokyo quickly apologizes for the event and agrees to pay for any damages. You are FDR, okay, as a group. What do? Do you A, accept the apology but refuse to ship oil, cotton, and machinery to Japan? Or B, accept the apology and give loans and military equipment to the Chinese military to combat Japan? So guys, get together in your group. An A or B?
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, definitely.
Sure.
You guys have your decision? Oh. Do you guys have your decision? Okay. Team 3?
The majority was like A.
Okay, A. Team 2?
A.
A. A. Okay, let's see what the results are. It's actually B. And this is a tricky one because even though we accepted the topology, we were still shipping oil cut and machinery to Japan at this point of the war. Okay, so which is very surprising. So and this is part of the isolationism. We didn't want to ruffle Japan's feathers too much, although we were going to beef up the Chinese military. So all you guys lose 10. So you guys are all at 90 right now. Okay. But don't worry, we still got 7 more decisions, so things can start going better. Okay, decision 2. It's September 1st, 1939, and Germany has just invaded Poland. You are FDR. Do you lift the arms embargo to the Allied powers and let England buy military goods if they agree to pay and transport them? Or B, refuse to do anything to maintain isolationist policies during the conflict?
History is going to help. But we have no history. I just like some help. I don't know. But so would they. Okay, okay.
Do you guys have?
We have an answer. What do you think? Do you know?
I don't know. I am just terrible. This is Come on, Darren.
Okay. Okay, team 1, do you have a decision?
B.
Okay, B. Team 2. B. Team 3. A.
What's the answer?
Team 8.
Oh
Our
my
team 3 is
goodness.
correct, so they have 85, and then you guys lose 10. So you guys are at 80.
Crap.
You're cheating.
That's okay. So actually, at this point, FDR realized that the conflict in Europe was getting out of hand. The Soviet Union and Germany had signed the non-aggression pact, so this was kind of a way to stop, or to bolster England to stop Germany from going west. Okay, decision 3. It's June 22nd, 1940. France surrenders to Germany, and Germany begins a massive bombing campaign of England. You are FDR. Do you begin ramping up military production in the United States in preparation for war? Or B, sell old military surplus equipment to France and England, lease aging destroyers, and initiate a peacetime military draft in the United States? Discuss amongst the groups.
What did you say about
We have to work.
No, that's the problem. What do you think you
You go with whatever. But think about it, he's showing 2 answers
So that's why I'm leaning towards A now.
Group 3, do you have an answer?
We think A.
You guys think A? Okay.
That was never declared
Group 1 or 2?
Go group 2.
David? I guess we're going with A.
A?
Oh, copycat.
And group
A.
A? That's not very good because.
I told you.
Okay.
You have to go back to grade.
Say B.
Okay, guys. So what happened was, what we started doing is we started lending and leasing goods to England. That's the lend lease policy. That's where that comes in. Okay.
Chris, did we lease to France, though, the old government, or to...
Not to the Vichy government, not to the one that sided with Germany, but to the resistance.
We did, yeah.
My question is, did we already have a military draft at that point?
No, this is one of the first time this is the first peacetime military draft in United States history. Not during war, but during peace. That was a big distinction. It was very controversial. FDR said he would not do that, and then he did it. So, decision 4. Okay, now the points. Now we're going to start losing more points. So it's very incumbent upon you to pick correctly. September 1940. Germany, Italy, and Japan signed the Tri-Patriot Pact, thus forming the Axis powers. Okay, you are FDR. Do you create an embargo on shipments of aviation fuel and scrap metal to Japan, or stop all trade with Japan altogether? This is a tough one.
He doesn't give us a hint.
I can't. You're supposed to do your reading.
That's great.
You guys,
This is not okay.
I know it's not okay.
You guys have a guess?
No.
okay, what's about everybody else?
What's embargo?
Embargo? Embargo means we stop all trade.
Rachel, what are you doing over there?
What?
Are you, your iPhone?
Any guesses? Team 1, 2, or 3? We got a guess. Time? Okay.
I'm gonna guess A, because I don't think we want to get rid of all of the money coming in from Japan.
Okay, that's pretty good. Pretty good logic. You don't want to roll up too many feathers. A?
Go.
And group 3? A? Okay. Let's see. Oh, it's A. Very good.
Yay!
60, 60, and
Why
65.
are we lose points?
That's just how the game's
Oh, okay.
designed
Okay.
by the creator, me.
Gotcha.
So what we wanted to do is we didn't want to stop all trade because Japan still needs oil for its war machine and China and stuff, but we wanted to cut aviation fuel and scrap metal. So we're cutting some of their goods, but not all of them, because we don't want to get them too angry, because that could lead to war or Pearl Harbor. It's March 1941, with U.S. support for Britain growing, the United States does A, pass a bill which allows for the lending and leasing of American military equipment to England, or B, begin sending troops to England in preparation for war. A, group 2, A. A. What do you guys think?
I was just trying to look up the last two tries you passed.
A?
I did. I tried working on it.
Very good, guys, it is A. Sorry, I kind of hinted this earlier. This is the lend and lease bill, where FDR described it as if your friend's house is on fire, you don't say, oh, hey, you can buy my hose to use it. You lend it to them and you worry about paying later. So that was the Lend and Lease Act. So we only lose 10 each, which is very good. So we're at 50, 50,
I know.
and 55. So we're doing pretty well here. Hopefully you guys all make it to Pearl Harbor before the war.
Before you implode.
October 1941, German submarines sink the destroyers Kearney and Reuben James, totaling in the death of over 100 Americans. Okay. You are FDR. Do you A, maintain the cash and carry policy and have British ships transport all military equipment to England, or B, have U.S. armed merchant ships transport all goods to England? So you're going to eliminate the carry part of the cash and carry and just have American ships send over all goods. So what do you guys think? B? Group 2 says B. You guys say B too? And
Stressful.
B.
Just think
Very good. You guys did your homework. It's only minus 10 because that's actually what happened.
Yeah, but we're still losing, like, we're still like.
I mean, that's
You're
what I
still
said.
losing points, but you're not losing as many as the other group.
You think
Or you're not losing as many as if you were historically inaccurate. Okay? 45. Very good. So now we only have 2 more decisions left, okay? So you guys are sitting pretty well, so hopefully you get this. It's July 1941, Japanese troops occupy French Indochina. Okay, so Japan keeps on moving into China and the mainland. You are FDR. Do you stop all trade with Japan and freeze all assets, finally? You can't take it anymore from Japan? Or B, do you ask Japan to remove troops from Indochina or threaten to aid China further in the war?
I don't know, actually. What do you think? Dude, if we die now, how many points do we need to get to?
No, 10. You guys need to have 10 or more. So
Okay.
you have 2 more decisions.
Okay.
So you guys are sitting
If
pretty.
we lose 20 points right now, we lose 22 points. I still make it.
What do you guys think?
We're saying B.
That's what
You guys are saying B?
B.
You guys are saying B?
B.
B. Andrew? 3.
B.
B. Not so sure about that one, guys. That's minus
I mean, you still have one more chance, you can make it.
Oh, I love it.
Mathematically, you can make it.
So this last decision really has some implications. Now, guys, at this point, we had enough of Japan moving in to the mainland and moving in on China. So we wanted to cut off all trade, so we couldn't fund their we couldn't give them any more military equipment like oil and things like that, so they could keep on moving. Decision A. Okay, this is the big one because then the next one I'll give you a little bit. Yeah, hopefully you guys see that.
Yes.
You guys see that? Okay. Well, and this is only -10, -5, so you all make it. So this ruins it. But June 1941, Hitler attacks the Soviet Union, therefore dismantling the Nazi-Soviet Non-Aggression Pact in 1939. What do you guys think you do? If you're FDR, did you sell goods to the Russian army or lend and lease goods to the Soviet Union? Yeah, you guys all saw the answer. Yeah.
Well, there's no such thing as the Russian army.
That's very true. So yeah, you got that correct.
Because I read it, but seriously, people say the Russian army, but the majority of the people in the Soviet army are not Russian. There were people from all the other, people, yeah.
That's 100% correct. So I kind of blew it there, but you guys all choose B, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So that gives, so we have 15, 15, and then 20. So you guys all were historically inaccurate enough for this game to make it to Pearl Harbor successfully. And it's December 7, 1941, the United States enters the war. Okay? Now, did anyone find anything surprising from this game? Anything you didn't know about the build-up?
I guess I didn't remember that we let Japan have more than one chance.
Right, we really tried to give them chances because getting into, we wanted to maintain those isolationist policies and getting into a big naval combat and then the eventual island hopping campaign, and as we learned from Chris, their Bushido warriorness, that could mean a lot of lives lost on the American front and a lot of money.
I think it goes back to further in the war, we give them more than one chance to surrender too. So, we were able to race.
Very true, David.
Well, the other real issue is tactically, we were much more vulnerable on the Asian front than we were in the European theater. It's geographically much further, and opening up to more than one major front in a war makes you very likely to lose. Which of course, by opening 3 fronts is what happened in Germany, because they opened the Soviet, they opened North Africa, and then they opened the English front. When they opened the 3rd front, that's when they started to see major military losses.
That's very true. Anyone else? Okay, so the purpose of this game was to really show you guys that there was actually a somewhat complex set of events leading up to World War II. It wasn't just Pearl Harbor. I mean, that was the one thing that ultimately got us involved with the war, but there was a buildup of tensions. So that was the significance of this lesson. So hopefully you guys learned something.
Great.
And that's all.